It's Alan. We're doing the spoiler edition now of Star Wars The Last Jedi. I can't remember what movie we're doing. But here's Jared again and my brother again. We're going to get into this. Aaron, you start this time.
Well...
Do you want to do things we didn't like?
Or you want to do things we liked or things we didn't like first?
Okay, what I didn't really like about the movie, it was kind of almost out of just almost not like Batman v Superman, but some of it was rushed. I felt like some of it was rushed, and I think I didn't like the guy that they had to take a whole trip to a different planet to find this code breaker, and they don't use the same code breaker they're supposed to. Turns out the guy they use destroys the whole
planet,
almost the whole rebel.
That drove me
nuts. All they had to do is make Chang, that sister, the girl that she could do the code breaking. I think that would have been a better story if they did it that way instead of
because all
having
he did
them
was
go to this thing. Or why park it on the beach? Just follow rules. Park it normal. No one would have got arrested. You would have been able to got the code breaker.
That was one thing that drove me nuts. It's like, why park it on the beach? I just went to other places that you could park, but you parked on the beach.
I agree. It did feel a little. There's moments where it felt rushed for sure.
There's just not just that place, but there's some things that are just like, I wish you could have took more time on that and explained why, Luke is more the way he is instead of just like, I wanted to hear more story about,
how he got there and
Luke Skywalker and, Ben, just how their story really made Luke the way he was.
I think one of the biggest things that they did that maybe as fans we just don't notice was because this was such a linear story, and I mean, the previous films they are too, but this is so much more that the movie basically takes place, within a few hours of the ending of the Force Awakens.
Yeah,
and that's kind of a first. We haven't had a Star Wars film that does that.
Most of the time, right after.
We're most of the time we're 5 years after, or a couple of years after.
Right, not right after.
Yeah. So with that, there's almost kind of a different tone and expectation with that. We're suddenly in an episodic where we're thinking we're gonna watch a TV episode like Game of Thrones or something like that, where we're getting an hour of character development content. Not a whole lot of anything else, just character development. And I think that was maybe the only thing that I really didn't like in the movie was that fact that, okay, cool, suddenly we're here. To me, because it's a Star Wars film, I was almost kind of hoping that we would do it's been 3 years. A real amount of time, not it's been 20 years in the future or whatever. It's like
2 years.
Yeah, 2 years. 2 years, 2 years of growth. With that, we could have seen and had an explanation on why Rey is as powerful she is.
Mm-hmm.
There would have been some type of assumption within there that we could have just gone along with, or why Luke is the way he is. I mean, if we would have gone 2 years, and we get over there and it's just. Rey's become powerful, but Luke himself has become more and more disillusioned or something like that. It would make kind of sense. Or it took her 2 years to get there.
Right.
It's the map was wrong or whatever. I mean, some type of backstory within it, we could have gone along with it a little bit easier. With the expectation that this is within a few hours of the previous film. To me, it does feel a little bit, the pacing's different. We're suddenly kind of rushed. Yeah. To explain a lot of stuff. I agree. That's probably my least favorite thing within the movie.
That and the part where when Rey and Luke are first contacting, it doesn't explain it to me. It doesn't really explain to me why Luke so much hates the Force anymore, or hates Jedis until maybe later.
Yeah.
Because at first it's why does he hate it so much?
Mm-hmm.
And then you kind of figure it out. It's okay, I understand a little bit now. But I forgot what I was gonna say. But a lot of this movie was just it doesn't help me. You guys saw it twice.
Yeah.
So it helps to see movies twice. But, because I just saw it yesterday, but I mean, I've slept since then. But, I think one of my favorite parts is when, I think it's a lot of people's parts, when Luke, with it being really long, the one thing I thought there was going to be so many, like, I didn't realize how long of a movie it was because I didn't look it up. But some of those started, like when Luke started walking out there, I thought it was going to like fade into black. Mm. And then that's when the next movie starts or something. But then it's like, oh, wait, they're not fading into black. And I felt like I was then watching a Lord of the Rings movie, not because of the style, because I wasn't used to a Star Wars movie being that long.
Yeah.
Because I looked at my phone, I was like, dang, I've been here for 2 hours and 30 minutes.
Yeah, it's one of the longest ones. I felt like it could have gone a little bit longer. Yeah, if they would have done it right.
If they would have, like you said with the pace, if they would have used a little, since you're already going 2.5 hours, why not just take a little bit more time developing more of the story than just kind of.
I think one of the biggest reveals for me that I thought was a great thing that they added was, and I'm glad we're doing a spoiler edition, and we're kind of in the middle of this, Yoda's appearance.
Oh God, I was about to.
So Yoda coming back and the whole statement that he says, it's puppet version. Thank you guys, it's fantastic. And he's older looking too. Like it's just everything about it was great.
The part where he goes, burns the tree.
Regardless of that, like my biggest favorite statement that he makes in there is you still haven't learned what I told you. Like you didn't pay attention. I told you to teach her everything, the good and the bad.
Yeah.
Like. He became so disillusioned and fell in the same trap that all Jedi, when you really look at all the Jedi fell into, was that they weren't teaching the whole picture. They were only teaching one half of it, the good side of it. Right. And those who are they have questions, they became afraid that they were going to turn darkness. And it's not. And I think Yoda realized that after being on exile in Dagobah and dying on it and seeing Luke and going through everything, it's like, we're wrong. The Jedi need to know about both sides. They don't need to dive down the dark side or anything like that. But they need to know, about failures. Like, you can fail. And if you fail, it doesn't mean that you're going to become a Sith. Or you're not a Jedi. Failures are
a good teacher, and that's what he's saying.
Yeah, exactly. And I love that. I was like, wow, here's a guy that we've all, as kids, we were like, hey, what is Luke going to be like? And we read it in the books, and the books got wiped out, but it's still one of those things, Luke didn't get that. He didn't get that understanding in his training that, you're supposed to teach everything. He just made a simple mistake of I don't want them to make my mistakes and failure, so I'm not going to tell them about failure. Right. I'm going to tell them and try and push them away and ultimately fail within that. It's just a cycle. And so I think, for me, that really completed his story. I felt like Luke's story was
it was completed well.
Yeah.
The way he ended it with... It did, I didn't tear up, but I was really sad when, I was like, yay, he's, after he, sat there and he, was tired, I was like, oh, there's the last we see him, and then he's sitting there again, and then he finally just kind of goes away. I'm like, dang.
Yeah, it was reminiscent. It's one of the reasons why, I love The Last Jedi. There's so much at stake in there, and then, same thing with Yoda. Yoda dies peacefully and becomes the Force, and... that's kind of what happens with Luke. It's just kind of he realizes, wow, I've done everything. I've completed the silence rite for the Force that I imposed on myself. Which is, again, other thing that's within that whole deal. There's so much content that they brought into it from the comic books that are being done right now and from the books and everything. That I think that maybe that was the reason why the pacing felt a little rushed, was the fact that they felt like they really, really had to kind of hint at these moments that are happening right now in the comic books and the books.
Yeah. So, when I remember when the first trailers came out, people were saying, oh, they spoiled the movie. And when I actually saw the movie, I'm like, they're kind of right. And it was somewhat. Because I remember in the trailer, didn't, it have Kylo Ren, stick out his hand and says, join me, and stuff. I feel like that could be considered a spoiler. But... I don't know, the connection they had, with them all of a sudden appearing and seeing, within the Force. I don't know how I felt about that. I've never seen that before in a Star Wars movie.
It's been almost all Star Wars films.
No. See how much I pay attention.
Well, it's just like I heard I read a review. A guy was complaining about the entire time. I was like, have you not seen Star Wars? Like, Luke does it with Leia. Luke does it with like
he did it with Leia
with Leia first, and then Vader as well. Like almost a back to back. Empire Strikes Back happens twice.
Right.
On Bespin, he does it to Leia, and then as they're leaving, he does it to Vader, and. Like, or Vader does it to him. Like, it's there, but it's never been this strong before, and that's something.
That's probably what. That's probably.
I was like, wow, this is different because like, everyone. I mean, like, Yoda felt that when all the younglings get killed, he's on Kashyyyk, and he can tell when everyone is dead. Yeah. Like, it affects him in such a way, and so like, depending on how strong you are in the Force within this lore, like you have a different connection with it. So to me, I was just like. Even though Snoke said, "Oh yeah, I bridged your minds," and blah 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 blah, I was like, "No, you're bluffing. You're taking advantage of this moment. Like you're not that powerful, kind of deal. There's no way."
I don't even think Snoke was actually that powerful. I think he's powerful, but not as powerful.
I feel like they made it. If he was that powerful, they needed to show it more. Because I wasn't convinced that he's this all powerful.
I was wondering. I was hoping because. In the first, Force Awakens, in the first of this trilogy, they left, like... That's another thing why I didn't like about this movie. They left a lot of things up in the air. Like, oh my gosh, her family, blah, 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 and comes to find out there's nobody. You're just like, you built that up and just said... I mean, I like the story that she's come from nothing, but, like...
You built it up so much.
You built it up and then...
She's from
nothing.
Like
and then also Snoke is just like, this guy's so powerful. He's controlling all the new that empire or whatever. And Kylo Ren just turns his lightsaber.
Yeah.
Which, so if he was all powerful, how did he not feel that lightsaber?
That was a really good, satisfying moment.
It was.
Like, if it would have happened any other way, everyone would like, why didn't he just like? If he would have called the lightsaber and it been this big old battle, it's like you could have just turned it on like right there. It was sitting next to him the entire time.
And I completely forgot he was sitting there.
Everyone would have said it. Like, and it's kind of the same thing like with the Emperor and everything. Like in Episode 6, like this is where things get out of order in my opinion. Like the prequels, They kind of follow the same order as the original trilogy. This one it kind of jumbled up. So Force Awakens is very much like A New Hope. This one was totally like a Return of the Jedi, like 100%. Like this was, the rebellion's about to be crushed, the whole deal, and then everything gets turned on its head kind of deal because Luke comes and saves the day and all that stuff. And it's like we had so many elements of like that, and like Luke could have very easily, if he would have thought about it, turned the lightsaber on Emperor Palpatine and just ignited it right then and there in Episode 6 and. Done kind of deal. Yeah. Like, and so it's like we had that scenario. I think that's why a lot of fans didn't like it. It was like if it would have been any other way, we would have pointed to this and been like, why didn't she just do that? Like you wasted a bunch of time. And now that they don't waste the time, we're like, well, why didn't you waste the time?
Exactly. We're honest. I love how they killed him. It's just I wish I would have known a little bit more about him.
Mm-hmm. I agree. There's a lot of backstory that's missing from it. I think we're going to get that in books.
I know, and I don't want to read them.
Yeah.
I don't read it.
It's just like, show it to me, and I'd rather just listen and watch it, and just instead of like, oh, I have to read this crap now.
No, buy the audiobook. Just listen to it.
I don't want to do that either. It's like...
That's money. I could just buy a movie and just... Yeah, I'm just kidding.
The rumor of, he was supposedly the Sith.
I heard Jar Jar Binks just rebirthed. I'm just kidding. That was a joke.
Oh God! Let's not talk about Jar Jar.
Jar Jar Binks is the real Sith Lord.
He was disguised this whole time, but no, that would have been interesting. But that's just I think fans wanting more than what they need.
Yeah, I think. I mean, when we get done, I mean, I still loved it.
I really do like the movie.
It's definitely one of my favorites.
What do you rank it in the year, since 2017's ending? Where do you rank that in movies you've seen?
Oh, movies I've seen this year?
Yeah. Whoa.
Oh, wow.
We can't do that.
There's so many movies I've seen.
This is a Star Wars movie.
I know, I'm just saying, I'm just saying, not, where do you think you can rank it? Not saying all the movies you've seen, just where do you think you have an idea of, do you think it was one of your favorites of the year, or is it just, middle of the pack?
No, I would rank it kind of up there on movies this year that have come out. I mean, there's been a ton of
Good movies.
Good movies. A lot of comic book movies, a lot of sci-fi films. I mean, it's kind of like, as time has gone on, we're getting more and more of that stuff. It's not a rarity like it used to be. So it's kind of...
We're getting like 5 superhero movies a year instead of just like 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
and
good.
I could easily see, you know, if Lucasfilm continues on this path, we probably could have something similar with Star Wars.
Because they got a Han Solo movie coming out.
Yeah, in
next December.
May.
Oh, it's in May.
Yeah, it's like 6 months from now. Yeah. The reason why is because they want a really, really long dry spell between it and the final trilogy.
I think that's a good idea.
It's a year. It'll be a year and a half between Star Wars films.
When's the last of this trilogy coming out?
It's 2019, so it'll be December of 2019 is its deal. They're keeping the December date for the episode 9, but Han Solo is happening in basically in like 6 months.
Aren't they supposed to have a Boba Fett movie too?
That's been rumored. The next one is Obi-Wan Kenobi.
That would be interesting.
Which,
and people were talking about
Lucasfilm. The only Obi-Wan Kenobi person you can pick is Ewan McGregor. If you pick anybody else, I will boycott the film. Just letting you know.
That's the one from the prequel.
Yeah. Like
he's one of the positive things from the prequels.
It's Alec Guinness, Ewan McGregor. They're the same person. Don't recast it. Just don't. I know you want to, and you want to recast Boba Fett too. Don't do that. Go get the kid that played him. Don't recast him. Just get the kid that played him, and he's good. He's perfect to do it. Or make an older one and get the guy that played Jango Fett. I don't care. Just don't screw this up. Like, you're messing with characters that everyone may not like you right now for this, but if you screw those things up, they will hate you forever.
I don't know if you guys seen this on Facebook, but Obi-Wan Kenobi has been portrayed as Jesus.
Yes, I know. I love that.
It's like share this picture
of Jesus.
Of Jesus, and people keep going, that's Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah. It's funny though. He did play Jesus recently in a movie.
What movie?
It's an independent, kind of like an indie film that he did. And
We're getting way off track.
Anyways, sidetrack. It was really good from what I heard. So, fun fact. Anyways, favorite moments in the film?
I forgot to mention. I know we talked about this at dinner, but I wanted to talk about it in the video too. That freakishly long neck. I'm sorry, but that neck, like when she walked up, and I was like, that wrap that she had around her neck didn't help. It's like, where's her neck? She looked like a giraffe. Like, I don't even know how to
She was.
I
hated her.
I hated her too because I thought she was really with him.
I thought she was a mole.
I didn't. I just thought she was incompetent, and I think that was what they wanted you to think the entire time.
But she's right at the end.
Yeah.
Because Poe, he was headstrong. But another thing is if they would have told Poe the idea they had, they could have saved so many lives.
They could have. I agree.
I liked Poe in this movie a lot because you got a little bit more of a story from him. You know more of his character.
I think
from the last movie.
This was a little bit more realistic though. Life is really kind of messy.
Right.
There's a lot of people that are going to undermine and do that. And so it's like, it's different. It's a different Star Wars film in the fact that they were like, hey, let's bring a little bit of realism to Star Wars, which is really unheard of. When you really look at it, the original trilogy, it is what it is. I love it. There's some mistakes in it. It's not perfect.
No movie is perfect.
And then the prequel trilogy has this kind of golden film, it's like the days of yore kind of deal. And then the new trilogy is very much okay, this is now. this is what life is like. It's So it's I get it. I don't know.
One last thing I want to talk about is BB-8.
Okay.
Because I forgot to talk about it. He was really good in this movie too. I know it's just a robot, but
it's a puppet.
Whatever. See.
It's a puppet. The one thing I was surprised
when he took over that huge machine
and he started killing people. You're like,
oh yeah.
BB-8's not innocent anymore.
I loved it. BB-8 was he's definitely
that thing where he had to kept going like this was one of my favorite little cheesy parts of the movie.
He was very much. He's a lot like R2-D2.
Exactly. He's the smaller version.
And I have to say, one of the best jokes, Star Wars and humor. There's always been humor in Star Wars. It's been a part of it. It's never been this much. But my favorite moment was R2D2 like just blasting Luke, and he's like, "Hey, watch your language." I'm like, "Yes, it confirms everything we've always been wanting to know." Is R2D2 cussing the entire time? Like,
he's like, "Hey, this is a sacred island. Watch your language."
Yeah. You're just gonna like.
Oh, that was another nice trick where they like brought it back to like Obi-Wan Kenobi, my only hope.
Yeah.
You're just like
tie. Like,
and then he's like, "Oh, dirty play."
Yeah. It's like a low blow there. Yeah. It's kind of like low. Like,
it was good though.
There was a lot of really neat things in it. I'm gonna fully admit I was really excited when Princess Leia wasn't dead. I didn't care. I didn't
gonna
care
say this.
about the whole implausibility of
when
her.
she was
like,
floating across, it was a little creepy. Like, okay, Mary Poppins. That's just like
so many people.
I thought she was gonna die.
So many people hated that moment, and I was kind of like, when it happened, like when she gets blown out of there, I was so shocked and upset. I was like, no, like. This is the worst cop-out in history. Like, this is bad. Like, no.
Well, they did kill a lot of the other
work.
Like,
okay, but I just was like...
It's a trap! Like, no more of that guy. He's all dead now.
Akbar's gone. But my thing was, like, when she... how she died, I was going to be really, really upset. Because, like, they just totally lied to us and said, like, man, she's finished filming all of her scenes. I'm like, no, there's no way that you guys only did 2 scenes with her. Like, this is... So when she came back, I was like, okay, cool. You know, I'm gonna look past this. Seems really impossible. I'm like, but at the same time, like in episode 5, they're walking on an asteroid without any type of suits, just a rebreather mask. I'm like, there's a lot of things that happen.
And also,
in this that don't make sense.
In like the Force, like people who can have the Force can like make a Force field over themselves.
Yeah. And
I think there's a story where Luke did that in lava.
Yeah, I've heard that was back in the old extended universe. And like Darth Vader, like you can argue, like is his mask and everything like that. He's been able to, in comic books, multiple occasions in the old extended universe and now, walk into space with like no issues, and it's like his suit cannot be that pressurized. Like there's something there's a little bit of gotta kind of believe that space and Star Wars is a little different than.
I'm gonna make a prediction. Last movie we lost Han Solo. This movie we lost Luke. Next year we're gonna lose somebody else.
Yeah. Well,
I think
we can't lose Princess Leia.
She's passed away already.
She's passed away.
So I think what's gonna happen is I think there's a theme
they're
to
gonna
the
do
movie
CGI?
is the past is dead.
Yeah.
I think I don't know if they're gonna try to set up for a new. I think they're gonna try to end it at 9, but. You never know, but
they're doing a separate trilogy.
Yeah,
I know that, but it's supposed to involve completely different characters.
Yeah, so I think they're trying to like end it on a good note, but also like open it, kind of like what they did with the Batman, with the the kid or Robin opening up the Batcave.
I hated that. For me, I kind of hope that they don't do that. I really hope they do very much like Last Jedi or Return of the Jedi or Revenge of the Sith kind of did it, where the story feels complete.
Yeah.
And if you want to know more, you can go see the other anthology films. You can go read the comic books. You can read the books. You can have just play video games and everything stuff like that. Like. If they end it any other way than that it doesn't feel complete, like it feels like another one's coming out kind of deal, I personally am going to feel a little upset and cheated, and I really don't want them to do Episode 9 Part 1, Episode 9 Part 2.
Like what what all the other ones have done,
every
like Harry Potter and Twilight. It's like, we're going to get extra money because we can make it a Part 1 and Part 2.
Yeah, for me, what needs to happen in the next movie is we need to have a tie-up of Kylo Ren and of Rey, and because Finn's story arc is pretty much complete. Yeah. I think if they would have killed him, it would have been a perfect ending for him. Only because I
think he's a fan favorite though.
I don't know, I was a little disappointed that Rose saved him. I was when he
if
was.
He would have died.
If he would have died, I would have been perfectly fine with it. And it's not because I don't like his character. I love Giant Boyega. I think he does a great job. It's just that if we're going to end a character that has so much background issues, that's the way to do it, right there.
Right. Yeah.
Just blaze.
I thought he was
kind of blaze glory.
I feel like if he really would have done that, I would have that would have been okay. He sacrificed himself for this thing that you
I do think it would have not stopped anything though.
Yeah, it would have been pointless.
It would have been 100% pointless, which would have been
because they didn't use the gun again.
Yeah, they didn't. Oh, and it was only just to break open the door and everything like that. Yeah.
And the thing is too, like, okay, this is like nitpicking the movie, and we're going way far along in this video. But like the thing is, it's just like
that's what we usually do with spoilers.
And the thing is who. Why did a stormtrooper like not even? Oh look, 2 rebels. They're sitting there right in front of all of the resistance, right? Is that what they're called?
Let me just
No, the First Order.
First order, yeah. First order.
Like, let me just. Oh, that guy's.
Why not just shoot them? They're like right there. Pew pew. Dead. I bet how I should have ended. It's probably gonna do something
They
like
could. I don't know. It's definitely like there was that theme throughout the entire thing. The First Order is so much worse than like the Empire on the fact that it thinks that it is all powerful. I mean, like if you look at it, the first Death Star, Tarkin, like biggest blow up right there. Like he's like, yeah, this is invincible. Everything's going good. People are going, yeah, no. Even Darth Vader's kind of like, this isn't like you're holding too much faith in the space station kind of deal. Like he even kind of like knew it's like not everything's indestructible. Like you have some wise people in that, but like with this, like the First Order is like doubly so on that. Like, oh, we're 100% invincible. Planet blows up. And we're 100% invincible. Shoots hyperspace ship through another ship, like which that was truly amazing.
That was a good idea.
I was like,
she literally sacrificed
secretly
herself.
always wanted to know.
I didn't like her, but then after that, I was like, okay,
in hyperspace. like, hey, there we go. That's the answer. It's so powerful.
And how the movie just
everything.
goes absolutely silent.
Yeah. It was you could
You're
hear you could hear a pin drop in the theater.
I was like,
holy crap! Like,
did she survive?
Yeah. Like no, she doesn't.
There's no way.
She'd survive. My favorite thing. So I think the best experience of this entire time is out of any of the Star Wars films I've seen, the audience reaction in this movie was amazing. Like,
yeah,
in that sequence, I literally heard a guy basically almost say like, "Holy crap," but not crap. Just like. I don't even know what he's going to say. He could have said the F word or the S word, one of the two, and then the explosion happened, covering it up. Like it was like in that space, complete silence. You just hear this guy go, "Holy!" Like you're just like, perfect timing. And we're all thinking it, going, "Whoa!"
What he said.
What he said. And then makes me kind of go, "Why didn't we do that with the Death Star?" Like, no one has ever thought about, "Oh yeah, let's kamikaze hyperspace." Like.
Let's kill each other. Let's just do that.
Oh man. Anyways, as you can tell, we have this guy's a huge fan of Star Wars, and I'm not sure about this guy.
Eric.
I saw it twice.
Well, that's because he probably just wanted to see it twice. He didn't really. No, I'm just kidding. But if you do get a chance, you've probably seen the movie since you're watching the spoiler. If you're watching
hopefully you're watching.
Hopefully you've seen the movie. Alright guys, thank you for watching our spoiler review. We just go crazy. Yeah, it's longer than the non-spoiler because, there's a lot more to talk about in the spoiler. Like, comment, subscribe. I got my goal this year for 50 subscribers, so thank you everybody. Now we're going for 100 by June of next year. Well, I'm going to try that.
His goals are high.
Very high. I was at 1 subscriber when I asked for 50, and look at me now. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. It's a blast to have you guys. Hope you had an amazing Christmas. Happy New Year. God bless you. See you guys next time.